Today, I try airbrushing. I figured with the Leviathan box coming in as I film this tomorrow, and there's so many minis to go through, that I should figure out how to use an airbrush. That not only will it speed up my process, but just enhance the minis that I'm already working on and give a cleaner look to so many of these figures that I've been doing. One of the things that bothers me the most with what I've been painting recently is that it always looks really grainy and not smooth. And I feel like figuring out how an airbrush works and using it on especially these larger models, that will bring my painting to the next level and be really useful in priming a whole bunch of smaller units and even putting zenithal coats on a lot of them, as it'll come out really smooth, hopefully, and clean. So today I'm gonna practice airbrushing on this Tyranid Trygon Prime, or what used to be a Trygon Prime and is now just a Trygon. I plan to do the same color scheme that I did last week with the Orchid Mantis style. You guys seem to really like it and it was really fun to paint, so I'm gonna keep going with it. And having such a big unit to work on, I think would be the perfect way to test it. So since the Trygon is more of a burrowing and then pop out and grab you kind of monster, the Orchid Mantis style might have to be tweaked just a little bit to make more sense with what this unit does. I'm thinking a little bit more browns and greens to match with the floor and earthy colors, while still having that nice pink carapace. So when he does eventually come out, he still matches the flora around him. Not only does he burrow, but he has this really neat electric pulse technique, which hopefully I can sort of add a little electric flavor to it. I'm thinking around his cool mandible things to add that interesting electric effect, almost like a charge blue look. We'll see if we can do it, but first and most important is to figure out how to use this airbrush to get the right flow that I would need to get the paint out of it and the consistency of the paint I put inside, and then actually going about priming and then starting to paint him. The things I have right now to use for airbrushing is the airbrush itself. I got the Master Model G222 airbrush, this little pot to spray out the paint and then put in new ones. I have this air compressor here, and of course the moment I took it out of the box, one of the rubber legs broke off. As I've tested it so far, it still works, so that's okay. And of course, a mask to protect my lungs because I don't want paint in my lungs. And that's everything I've got. I've watched a few videos about how to pull the trigger in order to get it to work and to thin down the paints and things like that. And with that, let's start airbrushing. Okay, it's end of day one, and I had first started priming everything with the white using the airbrush, and then I realized that it was gonna take way too long to do the entire thing in white first, all airbrush. So I just stopped what I was doing. I got my spray can white, and then I went outside and sprayed it and just waited for it to dry, because it would just, it would have been way too time consuming to do it. And so then after I waited a little bit for that to dry, I started then going in with the airbrush with the pink. As I was waiting for the prime coat to dry, I was thinking, how would I do this? You know, like, what is the best way to start the airbrush? Is it to go from the dark color and then highlight up to a lighter color? Or should I have just gone from like the really light color that I want at the top and then start getting darker and darker from there? In the end, I decided just to go from dark to light because that's generally how I'm used to painting, but let me know if it maybe would have been better another way, or if you just do it depending on the type of model and how you want to go about it. Because honestly, I was like, wait, where do I start? Where do I go from here? It was super fast to get all the pink where I wanted it to be sprayed on. So I did all the carapace down his long tail on the top, on his head, and then on his spiky arms, which, by the way, ow, it's so spiky. It hurts to lift up every time I paint. I keep pinching myself, and it's really hard to constantly like move it around and try not to stab myself every time I try to paint this thing. Other than that, I've been thinking about how I would tweak this to make it work for how he is, that his inner fleshy parts in there would be more of a brown to maybe green, so he looks like a big stem almost. Like the stem, and then the flower parts would be on the outer carapace. So let's see how it works. Hopefully I can get a lot more out of the airbrush. I think I have some airbrush cleaner. I was using only water. I don't know if that's good enough for in between colors when I tried clearing it out, but I'm gonna do a full clean before I go to bed tonight so that tomorrow nothing is clogged or anything like that and I can keep going smoothly. All right, see you guys day 2. Today, there's been lots of ups and downs regarding using this airbrush and how things are turning out. Last night, when I was looking at the Lichter for reference again, I realized that I did a bit of it wrong on this one. So I came back in with the pink and did more of the darks and lights where they should have been. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's looking really good and it's much faster. It's very smooth, and I'm gonna go in with a bit of acrylics to really keep those highlights bright later. But then I decided it was time to start doing under his body, and I thought, you know, I need to keep practicing the airbrush so I can airbrush most of it on and get into places that I can't reach later with acrylics or something like that. I don't know what happened, but I started with the brown and it was looking okay, and then the green looked really watery. This one was just my normal army painter paint, so I put a thinner in, and I don't know if that made a difference, but it's drying really weird and it came on super watery almost, and I have absolutely no idea what to do or how to fix that at all. I might just end up having to paint over it and then finish the rest of him with acrylics. There's too many now, like tiny little details that I need to do, and it just feels faster and easier not to use an airbrush. And I know this was a whole airbrushing video or week, And I've done a lot of it, but I think the rest of this really just needs to be fine detail work with a normal paintbrush. But the pink is looking great on this guy, and I'm really excited to get the details in to have him looking more like a really cool burrowing orchid monster. Let's keep going and hopefully finish him up strong. It's the end of day 2, and throughout this entire day, I kept saying to myself as a mantra over and over, trust the process, trust the process. Because last time where I left it, I was so nervous. But last time, what you all said, it was true that sometimes these things are going to at first look terrible, and then as you build upon it, it's going to look so much better and then look good at the end. So far, I'm enjoying how his inner body is looking. However, I'm worried that the brown is too dark, but it does contrast really nicely with the pink and the white. So I might keep it that way. Plus, I think the brown to green highlights really give it that earthy look, which is what I'm going for since he tunnels under the ground, and maybe the top of his carapace is what's by the flowers and then his body, or maybe he even tries to pretend to be the whole orchid itself from tail to head. I think in that case it's looking like that. From afar it looks like big ol' flower, I think. I think I plan for tomorrow to make the very top of his head the brown to yellow to pink look with the spots like you see on the inner parts of most orchids. I think since his head is so much bigger, it'll really stand out and look cool. Let's keep going. See you tomorrow. day 3, everyone. Airbrushing feels both like cheating because everything looks so smooth and even, while also being incredibly difficult to get right. Like, I keep spraying too much or too little, or I accidentally sprayed one color over a place where I already painted, even though I tried to block it with a paper or something like that. It's really, really difficult. But also, when you get it right, it looks so smooth. So I know a Tyranid is more organic and earthly, but orchids and orchid mantises are their transitions are so smooth and so blended on the actual flower. It definitely looks more in the direction where I want it to go. But then whenever I try to do something with my own physical paintbrush, I feel like it ruins the look that I have of the airbrush, especially in his centerpiece there where I just base coated in pink. But I think there's just no way I can cover everything up and then airbrush the way I want to under there without ruining all the work I did. Maybe I should have done the pink first, but it just seemed too small and too intricate to be able to do without just using regular paintbrushes. You know what I mean? So I think I'm gonna call it and say I'm officially done using the airbrush, and everything else should be done with the physical brush. I had whipped it out because I thought, you know, the transitions on his claws would look really good if I used an airbrush, as well as I think it needed to be a little bit brighter on the carapace, especially on his back. I feel like I was almost overdoing it. So I'm just gonna stop for now and start finally working on the little details so that I can have them done either by the end of the day today or by tomorrow if I can get all the little stuff done. Let's push through. Let's finish this. I think he's gonna come out really cool, hopefully. I mean, the airbrush really did so much of the work. I don't think he would look nearly as good without it. Let's keep going. It's the end of day 3 and I'm tired. I've done about 3.5, 4 hours worth of painting, and I think that's my limit. I don't think I can do much more without just getting overtired instead of focused and detail oriented. So I'm gonna take a pause for now, but I love how he's turning out, guys. His head is coming out so cool. Let me show you. Look at that. He's coming out so cute. But I'm gonna take a pause for today and think about where I'm gonna show that electric skill thing that he has, either in his mandibles or his tail. Because those are the only 2 things where I'm not sure how to tie in the rest of the theme or put the electricity or both. I'm not sure where to go there. But I think he's looking really, really cool, and I'm so excited to see him finally all done. I'm gonna rest for a little bit and then we'll finish him up tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then. The Trygon is done and he looks so good. Learning to use an airbrush really helped not only let me finish this quickly, but also have the back of his carapace look like an orchid flower, because the transitions on these flowers are so smooth and delicate, and I feel like it really helped me make that happen. There are two things that I think are iffy, but I'm not sure what I could have done differently. One is the blue parts on his tail and his head. I really wanted to get the electricity to work, and I don't think I quite pulled it off. I don't know what I would have done differently. Maybe just stuck to the original color schemes I was doing and make those ridges either yellow or green or something like that. Then the second part is his body. I wish that it was a little bit lighter, but I don't think it looks terrible, especially with all the green highlights. But overall, I think the top of his head and his claws, and of course the airbrushed parts look really good. There were a lot of ups and downs getting the airbrush right. There were a lot of times where I would spray it and then it would splatter too much and make these sort of like cobwebby looking effects, or I'd accidentally spray a part of the body that I didn't want to and have to cover it up. But overall, I think the smooth effect really worked, and this piece looks so cool. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye.